Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and I'm just gonna tilt you. Okay. I made a video 2.5 years ago now about postpartum anxiety, and I've actually been getting a few comments and messages from you guys about that video, and I've wanted to sit down and sort of do an update on that. So that's all this video is going to be. It's basically an update and I guess some perspective on what I've done and have tried, what's worked and what hasn't. So I'll just jump right in. And if you hear any background noise, I have 2 small children. They are playing with the keyboard and their dad is home, so I'm sorry, but that's just the way it's gonna go. So moving on. So when I made that video, I was very much in anxiety hell, and a couple weeks after I made that video, I actually found out I was pregnant with my daughter, and so you can imagine that was kind of a shock and just a lot to deal with at the time. I had her 41 weeks later, 5 days after her brother's first birthday, and I completely expected, I had anxiety the whole time. I completely expected after her birth that it was going to be very bad. But it was kind of a relief because throughout her pregnancy, I felt like I didn't even have a chance at really overcoming it, because with all of the hormonal ups and downs that go through it and preparing for birth, like I was kind of too busy and taking care of my son. So I was right. When I came home, I had, the normal kind of weepiness that you have when you bring your baby home, and especially when you have your second child, the sort of growth that you go through with your first. And so it was a lot. And then it was around the same sort of timeline, around the 6-week mark postpartum, that I started to feel my anxiety creep up a lot more. And it never went away that entire time. In fact, it took on another level. And it was completely being afraid to be on my own, home alone, the dark, driving at night, just to name a few things. I felt completely incapable as a mother. I felt like I couldn't, if there was an emergency, I felt like I wouldn't be capable of rising to the situation and taking care of things. And I felt very, very insecure, not only in my own skin, but in having this role. Now, I am a young mom. I'm actually 22 years old. So I do think some of that comes from, feeling a little unsure about myself. And, but in the last year, I will be 23 only in a couple weeks now. I feel like I have made leaps and bounds of growth. I think that's just what happens when you go from 1 to 2 kids. When you have a child, you grow significantly. And so, my daughter weaned at around 12 months old, and it was from that point that things started to level out and balance. For the first couple of months, it was crazy PMS sort of symptoms, hair falling out, which still is just a little bit, a lot of panic attacks, a lot of anxiety, a lot of, I actually had the sweats a little bit. There was a few weeks in there where I felt like I was just always sweaty, and eventually, I stopped producing milk, and she started sleeping through the night, and I started sleeping better, and I felt like I hit this point where, for the first time in like two-ish years, I felt like myself again. And then my grandfather suddenly passed away, and, it was very unexpected. And it kicked me back a few notches, to be honest. And I felt like I spent the next couple of months after that, I had to deal with that grief, and I'm still working through it. He's very important to me. But I still was able to hold a level of perspective that I felt I couldn't actually keep before. Coffee. The best way I can describe postpartum anxiety, and I think anxiety in any form, is this feeling of not being able to rationalize the thoughts that come into your head, the thoughts that just normally you process throughout the day. everything that comes into your head that has even a little bit of just something that will make you a little anxious or make your stomach kind of nervous, just being nervous, right? Just being an aware person in this world, your brain doesn't process it properly. And when you have two small kids that need you, it is very overwhelming. For example, we had a lot of fires this last summer where I live. It was like record breaking temperatures. And one of the days, our entire city was covered in smoke. Actually, it was about a week. And our air quality, drastically decreased. And it wasn't a severe situation. It was something where you just need to be a little more prepared and cautious and aware of your surroundings. But it blew up in my brain, and hold on. That was a perfect example of just what it's like when you have small kids. Everything is very intense and immediate, and when you have an anxiety disorder, you panic about everything, right? But right there, I was fine, and I handled it. And he was totally fine too. They were kind of scrapping a little bit. Okay, so anyway, my point is that you can't rationalize thoughts very well. You can't process things very well, and so your world just gets kind of small. Especially, just having your small kids and being at home is just so much easier. So I just wanted to, I guess, talk about a few of the things that I did that really helped. Number one was I stopped drinking any alcohol. I am a beer drinker. I love beer. And ever since, I still drink a little bit, probably once or twice a month. I have a couple beers. But before that, I drank very, very regularly, and I have come to discover, sadly, that beer does not work very well in my body. It increases my anxiety completely. It causes panic attack the next day, gives me the sweats, it hurts my stomach, all of the above. You get it. Eliminated beer for the most part. Number two was talking about it. Talking about it with my husband, mostly because, to be honest, I'm not very close with a lot of my family, and talking about it with my friends. I know a lot of people would say talk to a therapist, and I completely agree. Talk to a therapist. I personally don't have a very positive outlook about therapy. To each their own. More power to you, for real. More power to you. If you can talk to a therapist and it's free, do it. Number three, over here. Is just there is this grace period when you bring a new baby home. I've discovered the first year is chaos. It just is. And if I could go back and do it again, I would just embrace it more and just let everything kind of roll instead of trying to create some kind of structure and feeling down about myself for relaxing with my newborn and feeling lazy and feeling fat and just your emotions are high, your body is not 100% where you want to be. It's hard. It's okay. Time goes by very quickly, and eventually you're going to start to feel better. Number four, I would say that, rest is very important. Learning your boundaries, and then letting the people that you share your time with know your boundaries. I find that when I just say I am going to have a panic attack, I feel so much better. Like, I don't have to worry about that other person anymore. I don't have to worry about looking like a fool or feeling embarrassed. I can just deal with it, and it's over so much faster. And let me think. Number five, sleep. I know the other one was rest, and I mean like taking breaks and letting your panic do its thing, but sleep is very important. I was having severe sleep problems, and I have found that giving up alcohol, losing the last 10-15 pounds, and taking melatonin. I don't want to sort of advocate for drugs or anything like that. Melatonin is something that we naturally create anyway. Like if you were to take, you know, an extra vitamin D or an iron pill, which I also take iron, that's another one. Get your vitamins and mineral levels checked out. Melatonin has helped me probably the most out of everything in terms of sleep. And when you sleep better, you think better, you feel better, everything is just better. Go to bed early. It's not worth it to just stay awake and continue the cycle of feeling like shit. Owe it to yourself. Get a good night's rest. And if I could sort of, I guess, my final thoughts about postpartum anxiety, I feel like I'm about 95%, I don't want to use the word better, recovered. I am just in a better place of mind. I feel like my mind has finally slowed down and I can see clearer and think clearer, but there's still the bumps in the road, and that's normal. That's life. You're a mom now. It's just what it is sometimes. But when you feel it all the time, 24/7, it's time to think about making some changes. And you know, it's such a cliche thing, but it's true. Moms want to be the best. They want to have everything together, and I don't know where it comes from, but it is not realistic. It's not. Like, we're not perfect people, and we never will be, and I don't want to raise little shits to think that they're superior or better than everybody else. I want to raise kids that see that everybody struggles, but it's important how you deal with your struggle and that you let it strengthen you and make you better instead of, you know, kicking you down in the corner. But sometimes you're going to be kicked down on the corner, and it's okay. Just always get back up. And if I can think of anything else, I'll write it below. But I'm going to go. I'm going to finish my little coffee here and just do what you love to do as much as you can. And if anybody wants to tell you that the way that you're doing things isn't right or it's wrong and that's what's really bringing you down, well, fuck them. So, that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.